Hi friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. So today I have a new type of video that I have never done before, and it's pantographs. But before I get into that, don't forget, if you're new to my channel, to subscribe. That way, I think. Like, share my videos with your quilty friends, and don't forget to comment if you're watching this video. So today I have got to admit, I have never used a pantograph. I just free motion quilt. That's all I do on my long arm. So this is a new experience. I had gotten this book called 250 More Continuous Line Designs, and I decided to play with some of the little designs in the book with my laser that's on my long arm right here. You can see the laser light right there. And in the book it came with a big sheet of continuous line designs, two-sided, and I just folded it up to the design that I want to use, and I figured, why not show you guys my first time on an actual project. It's just a wall hanging, but I figured it's a small enough project where if I mess up, it's okay. I want to actually use this on something other than playing practice from the book. And the book is this right here. I don't know how well you're going to see this. 250 continuous line designs. Obviously the camera is in reverse, but the book has lots of continuous line designs, and you would really have to blow the designs up and, you know, take it to a scanner. I don't have a scanner or printer, but I could take it to someone's house that has one and then blow up the design to where it's big enough, because they're pretty small in the book. But this right here is like about the size of an actual panto. And if you don't know what a pantograph is, it's usually on a roll, a really long roll, and it has a pre-designed design on it, and it's paper, and then it lays on the back side of your long arm, and then you follow it with a laser and quilt from the back. Again, I've never done this. I'm new to this. I just want to try something different. It seems like I always do the same exact thing, and I want to throw in new stuff. So if I can learn these continuous line designs in my brain, I'm hoping that muscle memory from doing them over and over again, I can just do them on my own. But there is one thing about continuous line designs like this from a book, and that is when I'm quilting them, I want them right side up. So actually, from back here, I'm quilting everything following the laser upside down, which is actually not going to be good for my brain to remember. But in retrospect, I'm still learning how to use this, and maybe other designs, like certain designs might be able to be reversible, and even so, maybe I can start from the bottom of the quilt and work my way up. That way everything is right side up and my brain is used to those movements. So there's many ways to learn how to do this. For now, I'm just going to do the upside down method and use my laser to follow it, but I definitely want to show you guys, if you're going to start something, say a family member or a friend drew you something and it was all one continuous line, and you want to incorporate that into the quilt, and you have a laser on your long arm and you want to just quilt it onto the quilt. Well, this is what you would do, pretty much my way of doing things, because I've never done it before. So I don't have like a big plastic tray to put pantographs under. I've seen that on some quilting videos where they follow pantos, and they have this really long see-through clear tray that sits on top, and then they just put the pantograph underneath it. I don't have that. I'm just going to take paper tape and my design, and I'm going to line things up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera a different angle so that you can see. I'm going to line things up at my start, and I'm going to show you how I'm finding my height, and then I'm just going to turn it on and follow this design. So give me a second. I'm going to move the camera to a different position. That way you can see me setting it up from a different angle and how I am going to figure I'm going to start. And unfortunately, because I don't know when the camera is ever going to die, because sometimes it does, everything's going to be recorded in the front camera because I'm doing this all by myself. So, pause. So I've definitely locked myself now back here behind my frame. but that's okay. What I'm going to do from the back side is, first off, I'm going to look at this paper before I tape anything down to stop it from moving here. You can see my laser light is on, so that is how I'm going to know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot on the quilt top up here. I'm on what would be the, if you're looking at the quilt top from the front, this is actually the left-hand side of the frame, which is usually we quilt from left to right. So since I'm reversed and backwards, this is now my right side, and this is now my left side. So from the back side, my right-hand side, I'm going to keep my machine, which would be the front side left. Oh, confusing, right? I'm going to decide how tall this pantograph is by using my laser, keeping the front all the way, I guess, again, to the left side, and or from the back, it's my right side. I'm going to find the top of my design, and I'm going to look right here on the front where I want to put my needle down, and I'm going to go, okay, this is the high point, so I'm going to move the machine up like this, and again, I'm going to go to the high point, which is right here at the top of the design, or you know, the top of the quilt right here. So the top of the quilt, which you can't see, but it's way up here. I'm going to put this right there at the top of the quilt. So my laser should completely go 100% past this design. Then I'm just going to take this down right here to my start point, since I want to start right here. So we're going to slide this over until it's at my start point, and this is where I'm going to tape this design down. So again, I'm going to check by going back this way to make sure that my laser light and the top of the design is lined up, and now I know where I want this paper to be. And I'm going to take some paper tape, and I can adjust if it moves. I'm just going to take a little bit of paper tape. I'm going to stick it right here on this side. And the good thing about paper tape is it comes off with no residue. And then I'm going to tape this far side, and I'm not really going to worry about that center right this very second. I'm just going to make sure on the quilt top again, if I come this way, I'm completely above this whole entire design. You can see my laser here following. I'm completely above my paper design, and then when I'm at the edge of the quilt top itself, my starting point is lined up with my starting point right here. And I think this thing is at almost exactly the right size. My ending point literally is on the other side of the quilt, and I'll have to come off just a little bit more. So my starting point and ending point are lined up, and actually I'm going to go over just a tad bit more. So let's put this right here on this edge. We're going to come to the top again. My highest point is right here. So I'm going to slide it up to where my highest point is right there. So the whole entire design, I'm going to tape it right there. Again, I'm going to come down and see my start point ends here, where my laser is pointed right now. And if I come to the other side of the quilt, my end point is now pretty much off the quilt. So this is completely where I want it. Everything looks good. I'm just going to, for measure, good measure, I am just going to put a piece of tape right here and right here to hold the rest of this design down. Now this is the fun part. We're used to standing at the front either two-handed or one-handed on your handlebars. I have a rear screen and handles back here, so everything I do can be done from the back side of my machine. There's only one problem. You still have to reach forward when you drop your needle down. You still have to reach forward to pull your bobbin thread up, so you have to be able to do that as well. So if you don't have the space back here, like I told you guys in my setup video, you need the space to move around back here. Now I just so happen to be a tiny person, so I have plenty of room to make this work, okay? And since my design doesn't go any far past up here, I have plenty of space to just one hand do everything back here, or two hand to follow it, which is probably what I'm going to do because I'm new to this and I definitely want to make sure everything is staying where I want it to be to follow this. Now, if you have bad eyesight, then I suggest put your glasses on. If you are very new to this like me, also this going slow thing, just put your machine on a slow setting or precision mode, or just don't put it on manual mode because you're going to get yourself lost on the first thing and you're going to have tons of stitches in one spot and it's just going to be horrible. So put it on idle mode, which I don't know what it's called on some other machines. Mine's called idle, where my needle still goes up and down even when I'm at a point or a stop or a pivot. I'm just going to put mine in precision mode, which means my machine will stop when I stop, just in case I mess up. And again, this is just a little wall hanging. I really don't care if it gets messed up at all because it's going to. This is, again, my first try. I mean, I played with this stuff and followed little designs, but this is my actual first real project following a Panto. So this, again, is super new to me. But if I mess up, it's okay because, again, it's a little project and it's not somebody's quilt. So this is me trying something new, moving out of my normal free motion quilting box. So this is definitely, this is a beginner thing for me. I'm a beginner showing you a beginner long armor how to do this. So, all right, we're just gonna get to it, and I guess I'm just gonna keep it in this position because you can see my laser light right there, and you'll be able to watch me follow this, and you'll sort of see the quilting on top, but after like a little while, maybe I'll put you guys on the front so that you can see what it's stitching. So let's get this going. So I'm going to find my starting point and I'm going to drop my needle down, and you're going to see me probably in front of the camera quite a few times. I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle down and up. I am using a King Quilter 2 Elite, and everything from the back side is a little bit more challenging because, again, you're not used to it. It's a different angle. So I'm just going to snip that thread. I'm just going to set it back here on my tray because I really know where to put it. So my needle is down. I'm also going to move my bungee out of the way. You should always bungee projects like this because it is small. You'd think that it would hold itself with a good amount of tension between the rails. But unfortunately, when you start moving the needle around, it's going to shift and move. So it's nice to have the bungees on the side. The only thing is I did not add too much extra fabric, so I have a very short space and I will hit my bungees. So I need to move them out of the way so that I don't hit them, as long as I keep the tension on the quilt the whole entire time. So let's get to this. I have it at 10 stitches per inch. For those that are new to my channel, I'm quilting on a King Quilter 2 Elite Special Edition. It's an 18-inch throat space on a 12-foot machine, and it's a wonderful machine. It does everything I need it to do. No computers involved besides having tablets that run, you know, all the buttons and stuff. But other than that, it's a great machine. So let's get started. I'm using my laser. Everything was set up. I'm taped down. Let's get to moving. And it really sucks from the back side not being able to fully see the front side, but I am going to make this work. And I'm going to two-handedly do this because I'm a newbie and I definitely want to use both hands as I follow this design. So here we go. So I'm getting close to my body, but I'm being very careful. And I'm shifting and adjusting my body as needed. I'm going so slow, and if you feel the need, you need to stop and adjust. These are such little pieces. Follow it around so very carefully. And sometimes if you go faster, it might help you. So now I'm getting close to this side, adjusting my body. I'm definitely not good with this laser yet, I can tell you that much. To the other side now. I'm probably blocking the camera. Almost done. I'm going to look to the front of the quilt and take it off. So now I'm going to pick up my needle. Oh, that looks pretty darn good, actually. I'm surprised because I know I was out of my lines. So I'm just blocking the camera for a second. And the next angle, I'm going to put you guys on the front side, but I'm also going to show you how to line up that next row. Because again, we're following this, so it means I need to adjust the whole entire thing. So where I'm putting the top of the next pass at the top of the, at the bottom of my previous pass. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna advance this now, which now I have to pause and move out of the way because the camera tripod is blocking my way. I didn't think this through. I'm thinking it through now. All right, so here we go. I loosened. I'm going to pull my clips off. Oh, that looks so good. I'm gonna take you, well, no, I'll move it in a second. Let's move it and show you now while I'm right here. So there's my design. And you can see, let it focus. So you can see it is butterflies and flowers. Don't mind that sound, that's my camera tripod. So you can see here's a butterfly right here. Doesn't look half bad, I'm surprised. Here's a flower right here. So now I'm just going to line everything up and go on to the next row. So I've showed you guys the first one. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to roll this up, and I'm rolling it up manually right here. I'm going to take this over to the side real quick first before I do anything, and I'm going to look on the back side wherever my laser is. You can see my paper right there. I'm going to look on the back side and go, wow, that's way to the top. I'm going to pull it down some. Right about here, let's see. Next row, completely above all of that. So I'm going to snap it in place right here. and I'm going to tighten it down. So now it's very tight. You know, you can see there's a little bit of bounce, but it's nice and tight. I'm again going to put my clamps on. Oh, and just so you know, this is batiks, this is all batiks, and then I'm using just one layer of cotton batting, just one layer of it, and it's just a little small piece. And for now, I'm going to stick this up here, like that, and this right there, and I'm going to baste the rest of what's in my throat space. That way it's nice and basted and I don't pick up any edges on my next pass, although I was originally basted in the first place. So let me baste this first. And make sure that it's nice. We're going to go back to the baste mode. And I'll have a nice tight project. And nothing should move or shift. So you guys can see from the front side why we use our clamps at a certain angle, because it helps keep this nice and tight. I still can't grab the clamp with my right hand. I think I can, but I can't. So I'm just going to smooth it out, keep it all flat. The good thing about using cotton is everything pretty much stays as flat as possible. And I always use my hands to flatten things out, just in case there's any wrinkles or tucks or anything like that. And I go back this way, right back up to where I started. And then I just double go over it because I don't know why, I just do every time. I always have, ever since I started long-arm quilting. I'm going to go up here, and then from the back side I will adjust as needed. And what I'm going to do is move this clamp now down out of my way, because I know that my start's going to be somewhere in this section. And again, this side won't be too much in the way, but it keeps nice tension on the sides and keeps the quilt open. And we need that because we're following, again, a piece of paper with our laser. So we need everything on the front side to be as taut and perfect as possible, because if not, we're on the back side. We can't really adjust as often as we need without hitting our machine and are having to stop in the middle of a design and move things out of the way. So we want to make sure everything is 100% from the front side as we go. So now I'm going to put you guys in front so that you can watch me follow the design from the front side, and we'll see how well that goes. Okay, so I have you on the front now. You are zoomed in so you can watch. I'm going to walk over to the back side now, and I'm going to just line things up. So my next row, I already sort of kind of did it when I was advancing the quilt. So I'm pretty sure this next will be perfectly fine. And we're going to switch the machine to precision mode and get started. And if my camera shuts off, I don't know how to fix that. So I'm going to turn my machine on. I'm going to take my needle down to my start point. I'm also going to make sure real quick before I quilt, I think I'm just going to go ahead and break thread, because I want to make sure one more time. I don't want to just stitch this all willy-nilly and get all messed up. So I'm following on my paper, from like I showed you from the back side, I'm looking for the top of my design, and it looks like it's meeting up pretty much right next to the bottom of the previous stitching. And this is all half square triangles, so I do have some bulk. If you see this, see the quilt moving? This is why we use our side clamps, because if your foot hits that, you just have to be very careful. So it looks like it's lined up perfect. This is what I want, so I'm going to just drop my needle back down right where my starting point is, pull my bobbin thread up, and from the back side, just know you have to reach. So if you're short, this is actually more of a reach than if you were quilting from the front. I'm going to put my needle down. I'm just going to snip that thread. I'm going to move my thread to my thread pile, and I am going to start stitching. Again, I'm going to use both hands, and follow this as best as I can. So 10 stitches per inch is what I'm using. My machine should stop when I stop the machine. So here we go. I'm just repeating the same pattern over and over. Along the whole quilt. Coming up towards my body. Gotta make sure that everything is just right. Just following my design with my laser. Very carefully. The really hard part about all this is I'm on the back side of the machine, so I really can't see the quilt top unless you peek up and over and stop every time just to do that. That's kind of hard to do, so I just follow the laser and trust that the quilt looks fine. I'm stopping, I'm adjusting my body. Going really slow in the areas that I need to go slow. Faster in the areas I feel I need to go faster. And then I'm coming to my end and I want to make sure that I end it off the quilt. Alright, so let me tack it off and then I'll show you what I did and how this row butts up to the next. Another thing before you start, you should always check your tension to make sure everything is good on, say, the side of the quilt or something, because you cannot stop constantly and see the front side. You can't see thread breaks, but you can hear that kind of stuff if you're used to your machine. You can hear when the thread breaks and so on and so forth. So you do need to make sure all those things are in place before you start. So I'm going to move that back and out of the way, and I'm going to show you that next row. We're going to come up as close as we can to it. And you can see that they butt up beautifully. Look at that. I'm so surprised at myself. I surprise myself all the time. So you can see, I'll show you the whole entire thing when I am complete. So we're going to go right back and do this again. So I'm going to zoom you guys out. I'm going to advance it the same exact way, and I'm going to make sure where that next row goes. And it kind of looks like I want to bring it down some, because 3 passes should have been perfect for this. So what I'm going to do, instead of butting it completely up, I'm going to bring it down some so that my 3 passes fill this whole entire thing nicely. So again, I'm going to take my clamps off. I'm going to undo my sides. I'm going to advance the quilt to where I need to be. So I'm going to leave that loose, except this time I'm going to stick this here. Just going to slide this under the foot, and I'm going to find, because I don't want to have a half of a pass, I'm going to find the top right here, like that, and then I'm also going to find the bottom and see if that reaches the bottom. And it does, actually. This is like the perfect position right here. So 3 little passes. So I'm going to tighten this up. Tighten this up. And now what I'm going to do is put my clamps back on. I'm fully basted already, so the only thing I need to do is put the clamps on, holding the end and the side right here so everything's nice and tight the way I had it to start. This one I'm just going to put the clamp right here instead, because I again don't want it at my start point. And I'm going to put both the clamp, actually I could put this one up here. I don't want my starting point right here to get in the way. So I'm going to come back to the back side of the machine. This is already lined up, and I'm just going to stitch it out now. And again, I'm going to zoom you guys in so that you can see while I'm going. So we're going to put you about, oops, right there, and you're going to be able to see me stitch out the whole entire thing. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go back to the back side now, and we're going to just go. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm on the back side. I am going to line my laser up with my starting point. I'm going to grab my thread, which is somewhere. I'm going to pull my bobbin to the top, and I'm going to tie it off. And this time I'm just going to leave the thread right here on the quilt. And I'm going to put my needle down, and I am going to do my very, oh man, my tension on the back side isn't very good. I'm not happy with it, but that's okay. Again, it's just a wall hanging. The back is always going to be against a wall. Okay, so here we go again. I'm going to follow with my laser and finish this up. And I think the more and more passes you make on your pantograph help you get better at it. So the more you get used to using your laser, the easier it gets. taking it off the quilt. And I kind of have like an empty space gap between the last two passes, and I could fill that in or I can just leave it. I'm kind of thinking I want to just like go across the quilt real quick with like a in and out spiral on this one, or like write something in there, but for now I'm just going to come around to the front and see what it looks like. So it's zooming in, and you can see between my previous pass, which ends about right here, and my current pass, which is right here, there is probably an 1.5 inch gap between that. I mean, you could worry about it, or you could not, or you can just, what I'm going to do right here from the front side, just because I can, and again, it's just a wall hanging, I'm just going to put some ins and outs between the two, just so that it's quilted. You don't have to do this, but, and there we have it. And if I wanted to add more embellishments, I could. So that's what I just did on that. There, so that filled that in a little, and it kind of just gave it a little bit more oomph. I don't have to do it between the other rows because the other two passes were good. So let me pull that back out. I'm popping my clamps off now, and I'm going to just unsnap it. Unpin it. There's barely any pins in here. There's only like 5 or 6 pins. So I'm just going to pull those out, and then I'll show you the project. So that way you can see how my panto lines up. I'm going to put you guys on pause, pop the rest of the pins out, and be right back. So how did I do? Let's see. Here is my pantograph. You can see, okay, this is called Butterflies in Bloom. It's one single line design, so you can memorize that real quick, guys. So I started in from this side, did all this, did those, came in, did this, blah, 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 did all that, came around, and that was my ending point. So for you guys, it was upside down for me. For you guys, it was right side up when I moved the camera. How did I fare? Here is my project. We're going to come as close as I possibly can. So you can see I came in, I went around. Obviously I can use a little bit of work on following, but you can tell it's a butterfly. You can see that it's leaves or whatever in a butterfly. You can see that it's a flower, and so on. And I could have went with some loops on this top section like I did in that second. So there's my second pass right here. So again, the second pass looks better than the first pass. And then I had to fill it in because I did have quite the gap. So you can see there was quite a gap because I wanted it to line up with the end. So there that is. And then I just filled it in. And from the back side, you'd be surprised, it actually kind of, you can tell. So I'm trying to see what I'm doing at the same time. So from the back side, you can see, and then I just added that row of loopties to fill that in because it was kind of blah. So there's the back side of my quilt, and you can tell that I was able to follow the pantograph. And that's what it looks like. So let me finish this little project up, and I'll show you what it looks like finished. there we have it. So here's my little finished wall hanging project. You can see the stitching. Again, it's not perfect. I did have a little trouble with my binding. So I just stitched the end down. It didn't come out like my normal mitered corners, as you can see. It's just the one. I don't know what happened there, but you probably saw in the video. So there it is. You can see the quilting. From the back side, this is what it looks like. So you can see the pantograph, and then you can see also where I went in and just filled in that pretty big gap. There is more gap, you know, in like some areas, but I think that is fine. The rest of it's pretty filled in, so it's just a little bit of emptiness right there. But again, it's just a wall hanging, so it's just going to hang on a wall just like this. And if you didn't notice when I was cutting the binding, I actually cut little wall hanging things, but I decided to forgo that on this one because it's a lot smaller than most of my normal wall hangings. This is only 17.5 inches squared. So it's only 17.5 inches squared. So there's my little project. I want to thank you for following along with my little teaching moment, I guess is what you want to call it, on how to use pantographs for the first time and or single line designs using a laser. Again, it does not have to be an actual pantograph. It can be from a book. It can be from a drawing from your best friend or your daughter or your son or your grandkid. As long as it was a one continuous line, even if it wasn't, I'm pretty sure you'd still find a way to follow it or make it one continuous line. But you can take other people's little things and put them on your quilts, and then your loved ones can have their little whatever they wrote always and forever. So that was just a quick little thing on how to line it up. Again, I'm not a professional at this. I don't pantograph, but I guess for my first 100% on a quilt first try, I think I did pretty good. So I'm gonna get off of here though because I feel a sneeze coming. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Bye, everybody. Oh my goodness.